United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Correspondence that was sent out previously. Any comments from the assembly?
On comments? Can I speak now? Okay. I just wanted to be clear on a couple things that were discussed at the last meeting on John Scalia. So I just want to be clear that, so the two people complained about, is that correct? Two people complained?
Nobody at the board discussed who complained or the number of charges. It's not for public discussion, so that's never been discussed by the board.
So we're not allowed to know who, okay. How about the internal affairs? Well, first of all, how many meetings were there with the internal affairs? I'm just looking at that in the budget.
I don't know what you mean by internal affairs.
Internal affairs, meetings about John, did they find that he did something wrong?
Like the board has said, it's not able to go into detail with regard to the internal affairs investigation.
Okay. All right, so that's that. Because I did find one person that complained, but I'm having trouble finding the second person. Are these complaints done electronically, or are they handwritten and sent in? Can I ask a question, general question like that?
The general question would be, it depends, but I think you're presuming a lot about the nature of the investigation. You're assuming that the board only evaluates its employees or exercises oversight when there's a citizen complaint. That's not necessarily the case. The board exercises supervision of all of its employees every single day of the week.
What
So
I'm
to
asking
presume
is,
that there's only a citizen complaint that would trigger an investigation, I think is incorrect.
well, that's what was said at the last meeting, that there were two complaints, and I said, remember I said, out of 40,000, I think you said there were 40,000 people in the community, I said only two people complained, and you guys were not able to work this out for two people to complain?
I don't know that there was a number put on it, but that's besides the point. The
Okay.
issue isn't about working out or not working out.
But I did say that at the last meeting.
You may well have said that. You may well have said that, but the issue is not necessarily whether something can be worked out or not. If that's what you're getting at.
You're not really answering my question. So these complaints were written up. Is it typical for, if I want to file a complaint, do I have to do it electronically? How would I proceed to do that? Would I electronically send something
There's a
in?
citizen complaint form that's available for any
Right.
citizen to file a complaint. I don't know that there's a requirement that it be electronic or in person.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do something you wanted to?
Yeah.
So those questions cannot be answered, correct? Then you can't tell me how many meetings there were with the internal affairs?
Well, I don't know what you mean by meeting. You're probably
Okay.
under the assumption that the board somehow meets with.
Well, when you
the
filed,
attorney or
when
investigator. That's
you
not
had,
what happens.
okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I think she was asking, the last meeting, we were discussing the same matter, and it was indicated that were two written complaints by citizens, and it was also indicated there was two board members that also had complaints, and that's what we're following up on, because what was stated at the last meeting, which I have. Back to my question I typically have, was anybody on the board involved in the matter that resulted in the police chief being put on admin leave?
Board's answer to that question has always been it's not going to get into the details of any complaints or charges.
Okay, I can barely hear you, so can you speak up a little bit, please?
To scream through the mask, but I'm trying to tell you that the board has repeatedly, month after month, explained to you that it cannot get into the specifics of a complaint or the charge. It's a confidential personnel matter.
Okay, well, same question, and any way we can fix that? Is that, okay. Back to my, again, and I'm going to speak for probably most of the residents, and please let me know if you disagree. Most of us feel that if anybody in the board is involved in anything to do with the matter, they should not be voting on anything regarding the matter. So if, and I understand that it's perceived that there's been two outside investigations on this matter. And I'm trying to figure out if that's true and why. And also, it is perceived that the law firm that represents this township was involved in the second investigation, which is a total conflict of interest. And if that's the case, if I find out any of that is the case, I would ask those board members involved and for the attorney to resign based on that information. Let's see what else I have here.
That's not correct information.
Well, I putting out there, if that is the case, I would expect those people involved to, and you're saying it's denial, that's fine. But if you find out that it's not true, I expect immediate resignation of those people involved, in case that is the truth. And I'm putting out there that I don't know for sure, putting it out there, and we're going with what is said. All right, and okay, one more question. I'm glad to have a couple minutes, and I get interrupted.
I'll address the question again.
Okay.
Not the answer. Because you throw
I'm just a,
and then you don't, and then you move on. Every month you come and say that there presumably are supervisors who are conflicted out, or that time office is conflicted out. That is not the case. There are rules of law that govern conflicts and would require a supervisor to recuse him or herself if that was the case.
okay.
And so the board has followed all those laws. So coming every month, making the accusation without recognizing the fact that there are rules that lawyers, as officers of the court, have to follow, supervisors are required to follow, doesn't make your belief any more supported than it already is.
So let's see, I asked for the last at least 3 months. You've never said that. You always said no comment and refused to answer us. So it's called transparency, and that's what we're lacking. And that's why we ask these questions, because there's no transparency.
We give transparency on everything we can legally give. We can't give details about an investigation on a current employee.
There are lines, and we'll just be discussing those issues later on. And the other thing is, I don't really feel that the attorney that we're using for the township is representing the township. I feel like he's representing the members on the board. I am not confident that he's looking out for our township population, but he's looking out for interests of people on the board. So again, I would like us to look at getting a new attorney.
Anything else?
I agree. Do you know how we met this attorney?
Doesn't matter. You should be always looking at new people.
And went and retired.
How many years ago?
This, maybe 5, 6 years.
Okay, I think every couple of years you should be readjusting.
Okay.
Eric
Yeah.
to our meeting, introduced us to him because our solicitor was retiring.
It's irrelevant.
It does.
Today, I think probably everyone in this room would say he needs to resign.
Yeah.
I would think so.
And show of hands, who would be interested in looking at another attorney firm? Anybody? Anybody else? You think we should at least look at it? May not get rid of, at least investigate other opportunities out there? Or at least there's 2, but a few of are either have business within township or are residents.
Okay.
But that's all I have to say. But I do believe that we need to look at a new attorney firm. So I will be following that with a complaint form.
And
Thank you.
To correct the record, we have 4,000 residents.
4,000.
It's a
And 2 people made complaints that you said last meeting.
Even one citizen complaint is serious. You can't just keep it under the rug. Do you realize how much trouble we would get in as a township or a board if when a citizen had a complaint?
One
about
complaint?
any employee,
Are you saying 1 complaint now? Or are you
Any
saying 2
complaint.
people? 2 people complained out of
honestly,
4,000.
That's what this internal policy that we're looking at tonight's about. How serious complaints are. We're supervisors, and we're the employees of this township supervisors.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else have a comment? Okay, so I think we have Chris Gerber here.
Yes. Speaking of police department.
Perfect timing.
I brought one of my partners, Chris Gerber, here. You've met him before. He's been to township meetings in the past. And based on, I guess, 2 factors. One, the questions the board has fielded from citizens over the last couple of months on police department operations coupled with the fact that you're going through a transition with regard to your chief of police, there are a number of policies the board asked us to develop with OIC Meta. I thought it would be appropriate to address police department management. I think I mentioned this at the meeting at your last meeting. And I thought it would be good to hear a different voice from mine on these very topics. Chris does a lot of these kinds of presentations throughout the state, to the Berks County Chiefs Association, to PSATS, to the Murders Association, and he's written about it. And so he's here to give you a brief overview of police department management.
So this is pro bono, or did everyone agree to that we would pay another attorney to come in and give him?
We're not paying them.
Okay.
No, I'm here free tonight.
Okay.
Take it away.
Mr. Solicitor, members of the board, thank you so much for inviting me tonight, and your questions are absolutely timely. My name is Christopher Gerber. For anybody who doesn't know me, I've been practicing civil rights law, labor law, police liability for 25 years. I've had the privilege of representing the municipality in a number of matters, in particular policy drafting and training. What you're seeing here is a microcosm of what you're seeing nationally. You're seeing frustration, you're seeing misinformation out there, and I am very privileged to be working with this board and OIC Mena and my law partner. I've been with Eric for 15 years, going on 15 years with him, working in this field. I started out and I continue to represent cops when they get sued in civil rights cases. So if someone sues an officer for like false arrest or excessive force, I'm there in federal court representing them. And I learned early on where municipalities go wrong. And over the years, I then transferred my practice into training and into policy drafting. So I'm just here tonight, and I'm not going to take much of your time because you have an ambitious schedule. You are talking about new standard operating procedures that you're going to adopt, a new internal affairs procedure that you've already adopted. And I would submit to you all that this municipality is on the forefront of this information and doing the right thing. Because nothing is worse than when I go in and defend a cop in federal court and I meet the judge for the first time. And I just meet my client, maybe a couple of months beforehand, and I go into court and the judge asks me not whether the officer used excessive force, but they ask about the policies and the training. And if I go in there and I don't have that, I'm already batting 2 strikes for the officer. We're not even getting into whether the officer did it, right? So that's been very frustrating for me over the years, because then the insurance company is writing checks to the bad guys, even before they determined that the officer did it, right? So this is the type of environment where they're getting ahead of this. They've implemented a new internal affairs policy. Your questions are timely. Any complaint needs to be looked into. Any complaint.
Well then, okay,
Written,
I have
verbal,
complaints too
phone
that I'll write
call,
up.
They have to do it, right?
Okay.
And I'm telling you, here's another plug for the police. These guys are under such scrutiny today. It only takes one critical event, one shooting tonight, right? And you become the next Ferguson, right? I bet you never heard of Ferguson, Missouri until that shooting, am I right? And I don't want to make it a political speech tonight, especially I'm being recorded, but I'm going to tell you something. The new administration that has come in, the Department of Justice is looking for municipalities. They're looking to come into your backyard and mandate how you run your police department. That's not going to happen on our watch, okay? So listen, if you have valid questions and valid concerns, absolutely ask those questions, because that's not going to happen. I can tell you.
We don't get answers. We ask questions, so I will get to the bottom of this, okay?
Yeah.
If it takes me 5 years,
Yeah.
this is going to be exposed, and I will get to the bottom of
the
it.
problem-
You know what?
And we're a little
Yeah.
community.
I
We are
believe
not Washington, D.C. We are a little community, and we
No,
want to be
politics is local.
we want to be the beginning of doing the right thing. And these people don't even have masks on, and it is a state law, right, a state rule right now that anybody that's in a meeting like this needs to have a mask on. Am I correct? Is there a state mandate that these people need to have a mask on?
I don't know that it is absolutely required by the governor, but,
I-
we read the CDC guidelines.
Well,
Bear
we'll send
with
a
me, bear
picture
with me.
down to him, and we'll
Let's-
see if it is.
Let's knock down the pins that we can tonight.
Okay.
I am here not to give you a glossy picture. Not everything
You're
has-
looking at a big picture in DC and everywhere else.
Yeah.
This is a small community, okay? A lot of those rules, they may apply, but like I said, we've all been here lots of years.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with
Okay.
you. And by the way, those rules in DC, they apply here, and we
I
have
know
to
they
do it
do,
here.
but what was done here was illegal.
What
What
was
was
that?
done here is illegal.
What
And
was
I will
that?
prove it.
Okay.
Making the chief, having him resign 7 months before retirement.
Let's dive right into that. You
Yeah.
know, internal affairs is probably I represent the Northern Berks Regional Police Commission, okay? You can read about me in the newspaper. Very frustrating. When we get crowds all the time, and if we have an inquiry into a complaint, it is frustrating as heck. And I totally understand where you are. But I'm here to tell you that when you do an internal affairs investigation, there's a couple of sides to every story. There's a complainant, and then there's the target officer, right? The target officer has due process rights under the 14th Amendment, just like we do as citizens, right?
Exactly.
So what we have to do, and I do internal affairs investigations, cover your ears, I'm a double agent.
Well,
okay?
how many do you do on one case? Do you,
Well,
until you get
I
the
gotta
right
give you Eric's
answer?
answer on that, it depends, right?
If you don't get the right answer the first time, do you do it again?
Well, you probably wouldn't want to be in a questioning session with me, okay, because.
That doesn't answer a question, though.
We are very-
That we're saying, the whole
Just
thing
answer
is,
the- I just
how
wanna know.
likely is that you end up having 2 done?
Because you didn't
What,
get
2
the.
interviews?
No, 2 complete reports done.
2
If
reports?
you
Yeah.
didn't like the answer you got from the first one, and the chief didn't do anything wrong, how likely is it that you would go back to the drawing board and start over again?
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
really
just
sure what you're
asking you
talking about.
personally.
I can tell you this.
Okay.
If I'm handling an internal affairs investigation, I work very closely with the chief. We make sure that the board is kept at the proper length, okay? And here's another thing, and you raise good questions. The last thing that we want as lawyers is for us to make a procedural mistake. You guys may have read some time ago, 100 cops in Philly were fired and 100 cops were rehired. You remember that? That big expose? A lot of that is because they're not following process. They're jumping the gun, and they're not protecting the due process rights of the cops. I can tell you, when we're here, we're making sure that the officers' rights are being protected, that we're collecting the facts, and that we're giving this board informed decision-making power. They are not investigators. We say it all the time. I'm going to date myself. You ready? They are not to be Columbo. They are not to step over the tape and do investigations. That's not their role. And by the way, I represent cops individually, and when that type of shenanigans goes on, I'm all over the board or the council, okay? That is not going to happen here. And I'm not sure what you heard, but that hasn't happened here. That's our role, is to make sure that the law is followed, you know? I'm telling you, it gets my blood up. Because the last place I want to be here for my client, Carnarvon Township, is in a courtroom. Because
That's
here's
where
another
we're gonna end
one.
up.
Ready?
We're gonna end up
Whether
there.
I'm up in Berks or up in the county, right? Or if I'm in federal court, judges hate these cases. You know why? Because we're supposed to handle it internally, according
Exactly.
to the law.
And that's what they didn't do.
Well,
That's what they didn't do, and we will go to court over this. I bet you my bottom dollar, this will end up in
And-
court, because I'm not gonna let it go.
and you certainly have that right.
Yes.
I'm just here to let the public know this, that working with this board, working with OIC MENA,
Well,
I am pleased.
oh,
I am
absolutely,
pleased.
I'm pleased with him too.
I'm telling you,
You're pleased?
I am
You're
pleased.
pleased to work with him?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, my.
Okay? We've worked very hard on internal affairs and use of force.
They investigate themselves.
Well, that's the thing with police,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
But this board, okay, by law,
That board hides it because they don't want you to know, because they're gonna pay the bill no matter the outcome.
well, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here tonight.
So
And-
what
and
you're
I'm gonna-
saying,
I-
you're just covering up for the police.
No, that's not true. That's not true at
You
all.
will see.
It's
Because I got a case.
Let me share this with you. Let me share this with
That's
you.
coming.
I hear you, all right? It is not
They
worth.
extorted me. That bald-headed guy there extorted me.
All right, let's try to keep it civil.
He
Okay, let's-
extorted me.
Everybody, come on, today, let's
And
do
the
this.
board shoved it under the rug.
Sir, let's try to keep it civil. I think that we've all seen where these
They
town hall
investigate
discussions,
themselves.
right? This body is in charge of that.
They
okay?
investigated themselves.
That's the law. That is the law. And I can tell you this, I am not going to risk my license. This is the only thing I know how to do in life, okay? I am not risking my license to cover up some sort of corruption. That's not happening, okay? And it is our job to make sure they follow the law. may not like the result. And I would tell you, more times than not, they do get resolved. Lawyers are on the phone. It happens. It's probably best that it happens that way. The last place you want to be is in a courtroom exposing dirty laundry in front of everybody and their grandmother.
If we have to, we'll have to do it.
That's
I
the
know
best way
that.
to take care of
That-
it.
But
Actually,
Eric
you know
has
what?
hidden a lot of things here.
You know
Eric is
what
involved
Abraham
in
Lincoln
this.
said? Abraham Lincoln
He's
said, he's dead, come on. He said that it is his obligation to
Mine
avoid
threw him out.
litigation.
He's no longer.
All right,
Okay.
all right,
Okay.
so,
But-
Let's
look,
Chris
let's
speak,
be civil.
and then he can speak later.
I'm happy to answer questions about process, but what everybody has to understand is that there is no intentional cover-up. There's no, the process, the integrity of the process needs to be protected both for the complainant as well as the target officer to ensure fairness.
You're gonna take care of that officer, so that board doesn't have to pay the bill.
I won't, absolutely not.
Well, you were just saying you're pro-police,
Well,
I'm
so am I.
pro-client. The township is
most
my
of your
client.
clients are police, you said.
Yeah. Anyway, did you have a question?
All right,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
I'll get it.
I am not gonna get it, your solicitor and your board, you're gonna go over some new procedures tonight, but I thank you anyway, and this is good, healthy debate. Keep asking the questions, okay? Because one thing, I'll share with you, I'm from South Jersey. In Jersey, the police are a little bit more regionalized, they're a little bit more controlled by the Attorney General's office. Here in Pennsylvania, you're fragmented, you don't have a lot of resources out there. So, you know, Eric and I are out there, and I'm all over the state, to try to make sure that the townships are on the cutting edge. Most departments in Pennsylvania, by the way, we have more police departments per capita than any state in the union. Yet we don't have a very strong centralized authority that tells you how to run the department. So we're just out here telling you that they're taking the appropriate steps to make sure that everybody's rights are being protected, okay? So I don't know what you've heard.
But that's not,
Right.
that's not right. That's not the right thing to do in your heart. That is not the right thing to do, and that's how we work in Morgantown, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're a tight community here, and what happened here, you know, there was only one complaint, and the person didn't even file it on the correct form.
Well,
Someone, I know a lot about this, okay?
I
I've done
know.
some digging, and what was done was not
Well,
right.
I would suggest this.
And where can I
Yeah.
go? You tell me where I can go to get to the bottom of all of it. I've been talking to people,
Well,
and the right people,
all
the
right.
people involved I've been talking to, okay? And I know,
I would do this.
okay,
I
tell
would
me
do
what I
this.
can
You're
do.
a resident here and you
Yes,
care, and
that's
it's obvious that
31
you do.
years, 31
It-
years.
And I hear you, and I'm a stranger in a strange land.
Right.
I would suggest this.
Okay.
If you believe, and
I
obviously
do.
that you do,
I do.
that you have evidence of wrongdoing, you know, well, the first thing I would do is that you share it with the board. You share it there, you know.
No, that's the last place.
Okay.
Where else can I start? I don't wanna start with them.
My office.
They can't work together.
My office. I represent them, you know.
You
know what
do
they
or
say?
Eric does? who's our
Well, we're
attorney
with
here?
Sienna Law, right?
Okay.
That's
Is
our
it-
law firm. I've been with
okay.
him. We're down in Chester Springs, okay? If you believe you've got evidence of wrongdoing, share it with us. You know what they say.
Can I get a different attorney and share it with them instead of with you? Just to see if they'll take the case? I could do that?
I have,
I really think you guys are too close to it. I think if I went to a different firm and spelled this out to them, I could maybe get somewhere.
you know, they hire the solicitor, they hire labor counsel, you know. I can tell you that your complaint would be accepted and treated fairly by our office. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
Okay? We have no skin in the game in covering up anything.
You do. Eric does.
Well-
Eric does. Maybe you don't know, but Eric does.
Let's do
Okay.
this. If you've got that,
Uh-huh.
share it, and then we need to look at it. Okay? All right?
Okay.
So, I'm going to conclude my remarks. I thank you very much. Members of the board, thank you for having me here today. And I still think it's all healthy debate. You got another one?
Yeah,
Okay.
where's the internal affairs for the board?
To
We should have a
investigate
procedure for the board too. So can we work on one?
Well, the board, we have an internal affairs for police
Yeah, should we have some type of similar mechanism for the board as well?
to investigate wrongdoing of the board.
Yeah, where's our procedure on that?
Well, we don't have one.
We need a procedure on that.
Monitor
by the state. You know?
No, but,
They're
no,
governed,
Yeah.
he's right, they're
Yeah.
governed by the ethics law.
Right.
They're governed by the
basically,
General
unless they
Assembly.
are convicted, pretty much there's no way you can do anything, unless you force them off the board. Yeah.
Yeah. Ethics law is.
Yeah, I talked to the ethics board, I actually
Right?
called the ethics board,
mean,
I already
essentially
called
you have
them.
to make money
Yeah,
illegally, right?
Yes.
In order for that to happen.
I've called everybody.
But that's a
Yeah.
political issue, right?
Yeah.
You
So-
can't impeach him, right? You know.
Yeah, but I think we need a procedure if there's an issue on the board. So I think we need to write a procedure for that.
I'll tell you what, I'll conclude this way.
Mm-hmm.
I have found that by doing this, on both sides, whether I'm defending the cop or I'm investigating the cop, asking the questions and getting them phrased properly on these little things, 8.5 by 11s, and get them on paper, and then either they're supported by fact or they're not. You know, I was at a meeting for another client that will remain anonymous, okay? And someone was complaining about it, and I almost said, put up or shut up. I was very heated, I was tired that night, right? If you have evidence of wrongdoing, share it, right? Share it. Show me the goods, and that we're then required to handle it. And then if we don't, then you've got the argument.
What about police reports that have somebody on the board's name on it? That it has involved with the incident, and they're saying it's not involved. Oh, it's when somebody's involved, they're allowed to give to me if they're involved freely. And I just- yeah.
Facebook post you're talking about, that man made a claim, why didn't he post the proof to back up his statement?
I do Facebook as a method of communication.
Can I make a
Yeah,
comment? Can I make a
yeah,
comment on social
yeah,
media?
yeah.
Why? You know,
I do it as a
It
way.
gets everybody in trouble, especially these guys, right?
Hey.
When they go on social media, everything goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, back to I never brought up. He keeps on bringing up Facebook. I do have a large Facebook group. Somebody made a comment, but I like I said.
This man had talked to you, you don't wanna know the truth, you only want to know.
No, I do want the truth. That's why I ask open-ended questions.
You want to somehow confirm the story you were told, but there's nothing there to confirm it because it's not true.
You
Why
guys,
didn't you
we
ask
have-
for
we
that
have to
proof the
handle
man
this.
claimed he
We
had?
can't have this fester.
And
Well, it should have been done
We
already.
can't have this fester.
It's
No.
every freaking meeting that we have.
Okay.
The same thing comes up, every
All
freaking
right.
meeting.
Well, then I'll tell you what, then let's open it up. Let's put the sunlight on it, and what do you got? Let's have
Oh.
a meeting, right?
I would
What I
like just
got?
an answer.
You know it all. Sure.
No, I do not. That's one thing I've learned,
If
okay? I do
you're
not.
in with Eric- if you're in
I'm
with Eric's
51, I
firm-
know less than I did.
If you're
10
with
years ago.
Eric's firm,
I
you take the
personally-
investigation.
I personally have no confidence in your firm,
Well,
and that's why I'm asking for another outside firm to look at this and us get
Tell you what.
recommendations.
I work for the township. You know,
No, you work
so-
for us, and they work for us
yeah.
as
Yeah,
residents.
you
So
work
you
for the
don't work for the
community.
township. You work for us.
I don't wanna argue
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Okay? I'm just out here, I'm trying
Yeah.
to tell you what the law is and that we're following the law.
Oh, I don't worry. I have a lot of law in here. I've done a lot of research. Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spare the
Thank
both
you.
of I thank you so much, all right? Good luck.
Uh-huh.
So, moving on to minutes of the previous meeting. January 4th, 2021 reorganization.
Haven't seen.
Any motion?
I'll second
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. January 12th, 2021 regular meeting.
Make a motion for the minutes from January 1st.
January 12th.
So,
Have a motion? We have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
January 26th, 2021 workshop.
No one has any questions, complaints, or comments, I make a motion to accept the minutes from January 26, 2021.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Treasurer's report, ending January 31st.
Is there a reason we're negative 117? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Is there a reason we're,
There's a deposit being made, right? That would hit any day.
okay, I thought you were asking her and she didn't say anything. Okay, okay, I can't, unfortunately, I heard her voice, okay. And what type of deposit is that?
EIT.
Which is, that earned income? Okay. And how much would that be? You have an estimate?
Is it over 100,000? No. What was
Around
that,
this negative amount. Jack can confirm.
Jeff? Okay,
He's the one that sees the transaction, but he let me know that,
okay.
yeah. We're good.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Expense list for February 9th.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, business. Policy for video recordings of the township meetings. So, we should probably establish something so it's uniform for everyone, instead of having people up and down and cameras going all over the place. So there's some samples in there. We should probably review those and try to put policy enforced.
So are you guys going to start taping meetings then?
No.
Okay, then why are we doing that then?
Well, for the cell phones, it's when you stand up, when you turn around, you whip it into someone's face, and
Well, I mean, by law, there's no expectation of privacy at a public
No,
meeting.
I'm saying-
Yeah, no. Yeah, but I'm curious why we're doing that, that's all.
because it can be a disturbance when you're standing up and down and take your camera and having it all over.